Have you ever trusted someone so deeply, only to find out they wanted you gone? My name is Mama Grace. Before I tell you my story, please, where are you watching from? It comforts me to know I'm not just speaking into empty walls. And if you're here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so other people can hear my voice too. That morning began like any other. The sun rose slowly, casting soft golden light through the lace curtains of my sitting room. The air was calm, the kind of morning when you think peace has finally come to your home. I sat quietly in my chair, humming an old hymn, when I heard soft footsteps in the kitchen. It was my daughter-in-law. For weeks she had been distant, cold, her eyes always sharp whenever they fell on me. But that day, she was different. Her voice was sweet, almost too sweet. As she called out, "Mama, I'm making breakfast for you today." My heart softened. Maybe, I thought, she is beginning to accept me. Maybe the walls between us are breaking down. She hummed as she worked, pots clinking, a spoon stirring gently. It felt almost like the sound of family again. When she entered the room, she carried the tray herself. Porridge, steaming hot with fish laid neatly on top, she placed it in front of me with both hands. Smiling so warmly, I nearly forgot all the harsh words and cold shoulders of the past. "Mama, you need your strength," she said, tucking the corner of the napkin like a real daughter would. Tears stung my eyes. I whispered, "Thank you, my child." For the first time in a long time, I believed healing was possible. I lifted my spoon, hands trembling slightly with hunger and gratitude. But then something unusual happened. The young house helper, barely 15, slipped close to me. Her face was pale, her lips trembling as if she had seen a ghost. She bent quickly, pretending to adjust the mat under my chair. That's when she pressed a small, folded piece of paper into my hand. I looked down. The words, written in a hurried scrawl, made my heart skip. "Mama, please don't eat. Pour the food on the floor." My spoon froze midair. My chest tightened. I looked at her, and in her eyes was fear. Real fear. The kind that only comes from knowing a truth too heavy for a child to carry. Slowly, trying not to draw attention, I tilted the bowl and let the porridge spill to the floor. What I saw made my body go cold. There it was. A dead gecko, its lifeless body hidden beneath the food I had been about to eat. The smell rose sharply, foul and unmistakable. My breath caught in my throat. My hand began to shake so violently that the spoon clattered to the floor. I looked up. My daughter-in-law was standing there, watching. Her smile did not falter. In fact, it widened. For a moment, the room was silent. Too silent. I could hear only the pounding of my own heart. Inside, my soul screamed, "This woman, this daughter I welcomed, wanted me gone." The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. I sat there frozen, my spoon on the floor, my heart trembling inside me. And I asked myself, why? Why would the one I called daughter want me gone? Was my only crime loving her son? Too much? The room felt colder than it should have. I could still see the gecko's limp body in the pool of spilled porridge. My eyes kept drifting back to it, like my soul couldn't believe what my body had already seen. She stood across from me, her face calm, too calm. The kind of calm that made me wonder if she had rehearsed it. Her hands folded neatly in front of her, her lips carrying that same soft smile. But her eyes, oh, her eyes. They were sharp, unblinking, watching me like a predator studies prey. And in that moment, I realized something chilling. She wasn't surprised that I didn't eat. She wasn't startled by the spill. No, it was as though she already knew what I had seen, as though she wanted me to see it. The helper girl kept her head down, pretending to sweep. But her hands shook so badly, the broom scratched against the floorboards. I wanted to ask her how long she had known. I wanted to hold her and thank her for saving me. But fear locked my tongue. Instead, I sat there, clutching the little piece of paper like it was my last lifeline. My chest rose and fell as though I had run a marathon. I thought of my son, my dear boy, the one I raised with my own hands. Did he know? Could he know? Or had the woman he married blinded him so completely that he could not see the shadow she carried? For a split second, I wondered if I was imagining it all. Maybe it was an accident, I told myself. Maybe the gecko had simply fallen in by mistake. Kitchens aren't perfect places. Things happened, but no. The smell told another story. The way it was buried beneath layers of porridge, carefully hidden, that told the truth. And her smile. Oh, that smile was not the smile of an accident. It was the smile of someone who believed her plan had succeeded. I felt my throat tighten as though invisible hands were pressing against it. My palms grew sweaty. I whispered to myself, Grace, you are not safe in your own home. And that thought was the heaviest of all. Because home is supposed to be a place where you rest. A place where laughter lingers in the air. Where the walls protect you, not threaten you. But that day, sitting in front of her, with the stench of poison rising from the floor, I realized that my home had become my enemy. And here's the part that still keeps me awake at night. I didn't speak. Not a word. I sat in silence, swallowing my questions, locking away my tears. Because deep down I knew, the moment I opened my mouth, I might not live to finish the sentence. So I stayed quiet, but broken inside. And that's when I asked myself, how do you sleep under the same roof with someone who wants your breath gone? How do you share the same table when the food she gives could be your last? When my son returned that evening, I thought perhaps his presence would bring me peace. A son's love, I believed, could shield a mother's heart. But I was wrong. I was so very wrong. The door creaked open and in walked Daniel, my only son. His tie was loosened, his shirt slightly wrinkled from the long day at work. He smiled when he saw me, and for a fleeting second, my heart remembered what love felt like. But before I could speak, before I could even stand, she was already there, rushing to him, her voice trembling, her eyes wet with false tears. "Daniel!" she gasped, clutching her chest like a wounded bird. "I don't know how to say this, but your mother tried to poison me." The words cut through me sharper than any blade. I froze, staring at her, my mouth opening, but no sound escaping. Poison? Me? The woman who carried him in her womb for 9 long months, who sacrificed sleep and food just to see him live? Daniel's face darkened instantly. He turned to me, eyes wide with shock. "Mom, is this true?" I shook my head violently, words tumbling but breaking inside my throat. "No, Daniel, no. It was not me, it was—" But she didn't let me finish. She burst into fresh sobs, falling into his arms, her voice muffled against his chest. "She served me food today, and when I looked closer, I found a dead gecko inside. If it wasn't for the maid, I would have eaten it. She hates me, Daniel. She hates me so much she wants me gone." Her lies poured like honey laced with venom, dripping into my son's ears. And I just stood there, trembling, because for the first time in my life, I realized that truth without proof is nothing but a whisper in the storm. Daniel looked at me again, torn between 2 worlds, the mother who gave him life and the wife who shared his bed. His jaw tightened. His voice grew harsh. "Mother, how could you?" The room spun. My knees weakened. I wanted to scream, to shake him, to beg him to look into my eyes. But I saw it already. Doubt had entered his heart. The seed had been planted. I collapsed into the chair, my hands shaking uncontrollably. The paper the maid had slipped me earlier still sat in my pocket like a lifeline. But even that wasn't enough. And then something happened. The maid, God bless her soul, stepped forward. Her voice shook, but her courage filled the room. "Sir, I recorded it." We all turned. She held up her small phone, the screen glowing faintly. "I recorded everything, from the moment Madam put that gecko into the bowl to when she told me to keep quiet. I couldn't stay silent. I had to protect Mama." The silence that followed was heavier than stone. My son's face drained of color. Slowly, he looked down at the woman in his arms. Her sobs stopped, her breath catching. "Is this true?" he whispered. For the first time, her mask cracked. She tried to speak, but the words stumbled. Her lips trembled. Her eyes darted toward me with hatred so fierce I could almost feel its burn. And I knew right then, the battle wasn't over. Because sometimes the truth saves you, but it also paints a target on your back. That night, as I lay on my bed, I realized that lies have wings. But truth, even with evidence, walks on crutches. And though the maid had saved me, I knew my war with her was only just beginning. So when the maid raised that little phone, I thought I had been delivered. I thought justice had finally found me. But I forgot. When the truth exposes darkness, darkness does not run away quietly. No, it fights. It claws. It tries to drag you down with it. Daniel stood frozen. His eyes darted from the phone to Evelyn, his wife, and back to me. His lips parted, but no sound came. He looked like a man watching the foundation of his house crumble beneath his feet. Evelyn's body stiffened in his arms. For a long moment she didn't move. Then slowly, like a snake shedding its skin, she pulled away from him. Her tears stopped, as if they had never been real. Her face hardened into something cold, sharp. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice low but steady, "you're really going to believe a servant girl? Over your wife?" The air in the room thickened. My son blinked, his Adam's apple bobbing. "Evelyn, she says she has proof." "Proof?" Evelyn spat the word out like poison. She turned on the maid, her eyes blazing. "Show it then, play it. Let's see this so-called proof." The maid's small hands shook as she tapped the screen. The room filled with the tinny sound of Evelyn's voice. We all heard it, her laughter as she told the maid to hide the gecko, her cold warning to stay silent. Every word cut through the air like a blade. I watched my son's face as the truth wrapped itself around his ears. His skin went pale, his shoulders sagged, his eyes turned glassy as though he wanted to vanish into the floor. But Evelyn was not finished. She clapped slowly, mockingly. "Really, that's your proof? A grainy little recording made by a girl who wants more salary? Do you not see, Daniel? She hates me. She envies me. Of course she would fabricate such lies." Her voice dripped venom, but her eyes glowed with challenge. Daniel looked from her to the maid, then to me. His hands raked through his hair. I don't know what to believe anymore." My heart cracked. My son, the boy I carried, the man I raised, was standing in front of the truth. But doubt still chained his eyes. "It is a terrible thing," I whispered to myself, "when lies sound sweeter to the ears than truth ever could." The maid, God bless her courage, stood taller. "Sir, I don't need more salary. I don't need anything. I just couldn't let Mama die." Her voice broke on the last word, but her eyes held firm. Daniel staggered back, pressing his hands to his temples. Evelyn reached for him again, her voice softening, melting into that dangerous sweetness she always carried. "Daniel, love, this is what she wants. She wants to drive us apart. Can't you see? Your mother has always hated me. And now this girl, she's helping her." Her words slithered into the air, wrapping around my son's heart like chains. I stepped forward, my voice trembling but fierce. "Daniel, look at me. I am your mother. The woman who fed you, who prayed for you, who bled for you. Do you think I would put a gecko in her food? When I have barely enough strength to lift a pot these days?" My voice broke. My chest heaved. "My son, I have nothing in this world but you. If you turn away from me now, where shall I go?" The silence after my words was unbearable. I could hear the faint ticking of the clock on the wall, each second striking like a hammer. Daniel's lips trembled. His eyes shone with tears. For a moment, I thought I saw him reaching for me. For a moment, I thought love would win. But then Evelyn spoke again. And her words dug deep. "If you believe her." "Daniel," she said slowly, her eyes narrowing, "then you are choosing her over me. And if that is the case, then perhaps you should sleep in her bed too. Because I will not stay in this house 1 second longer if you let her poison our marriage." Her voice echoed with finality. Her threat dangled in the air. Daniel froze. His chest rose and fell rapidly. His eyes flicked between us, like a man being torn limb from limb. And then he turned his back. "Enough!" he shouted, his voice hoarse. I can't do this right now." He stormed into his room, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. The silence that followed was heavier than death. Evelyn stood there, her lips curling into a faint smile. Not the sweet one she used to fool him, but the real one, the cruel one. She glanced at me, her eyes burning with hatred. "This isn't over," she whispered, low enough so only I could hear. "You think you've won? Old woman, you've only just begun to lose." My knees weakened. My hands clutched the chair for balance. My heart pounded like a drum of war. That night, as I lay in the darkness, I realized something that cut me deeper than any betrayal. Proof can silence lies for a moment, but it cannot erase the seeds they've already planted in a heart. My son may have heard her voice on that recording, but I could see it in his eyes. Doubt had taken root. And doubt? Oh, doubt is a poison even stronger than a gecko in a bowl of porridge. For weeks after the poisoned food incident, the house became a battlefield of silence. Daniel, my son, barely looked at me. Evelyn, his wife, walked around with an air of triumph, like a queen who had already won the war. And me? I lived each day with a knot in my chest, praying the storm would break before it swallowed us whole. But the storm was not done yet. One evening, Evelyn stormed into the living room with tears streaming down her face. She fell on the floor dramatically and screamed, "Mama Grace tried to poison me. She put something in my food. If not for God, I would be dead." Daniel ran to her side, panic all over his face. My heart sank. She was turning the story upside down, accusing me of the very crime she tried to commit. I wanted to scream, to defend myself, but before I could speak, Blessing, the young maid, stepped forward. She held her small phone in trembling hands. "Sir, please, you need to see this," she whispered. Daniel looked at her, confused. Evelyn's face changed in an instant. Her confidence cracked. Blessing pressed play. The video filled the room. Evelyn sneaking into the kitchen, sprinkling strange powder into my soup, then calling me with a fake smile. And then the moment that changed everything, Blessing slipping me the note. "Mama, don't eat it." The room went silent. Daniel's eyes widened. He looked at his wife, then at me, then back at the screen. Evelyn tried to snatch the phone, but Daniel's hand was faster. He replayed the clip again and again. Each time, Evelyn's lies shattered further. That night, for the first time in weeks, Daniel looked at me not with suspicion, but with tears in his eyes. "Mama," his voice cracked, "I'm sorry. I doubted you. I let her words blind me." I touched his cheek and whispered, "A mother never stops forgiving her son." But forgiveness could not erase the scars Evelyn had left. The next day, word spread quickly. Neighbors who had once believed Evelyn's lies were stunned. Some came to my door ashamed, saying, "Mama Grace, forgive us. We doubted you." Others whispered that they had suspected Evelyn all along but never had proof. And then the biggest twist came. Evelyn, cornered by her own actions, turned the story again. She cried in public, claiming, "Daniel and his mother set me up. They want me out of the house. They faked the video. They are destroying me." For a moment, some people believed her. But this time, Daniel did not. My son stood tall in front of everyone and said, "No, I was blind, but not anymore. My wife tried to kill my mother. The proof is here." He held up the phone with the recording, and for once the voices of the neighbors were on my side. That night, I sat alone and asked myself, why? Why would a young woman I welcomed into my family try to destroy me? Maybe it was greed, maybe jealousy, maybe simply wickedness. But one truth became clear to me. Sometimes, the greatest enemy is not outside the house. Sometimes it sleeps under the same roof. I cried not just for myself, but for every mother, every grandmother, who has been betrayed by the very people they trusted. To you, my listener, if you're hearing my story, I want you to think, have you ever trusted someone who turned against you? Have you ever been accused of something you didn't do? Have you ever felt invisible in your own family? Type in the comments, "Same," if you've felt that pain. Type "Strong woman" if you believe I survived what should have broken me. Type "Prayers" if you will stand with me. And tell me, dear one, where are you watching from? My final words. I am Mama Grace. I almost ate food meant to end my life. I was called a liar in my own home. I lost my son's trust for a season. But I survived because one brave servant girl refused to stay silent. Because the truth will always fight its way out. And because God kept me alive to tell you this story. And if my story touched you, please don't leave quietly. Say something in the comments. Say, "Mama, you are strong." Share this video with someone you love. Because no grandmother, no mother, no woman should ever go through this alone.